Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, it's Thursday, and Tom Sokolowski is in residence, as am I, Lynn Cullen, and we'll be here for about an hour. Good morning, good morning. It's May 17th, another gorgeous day.
Yes, it's really quite beautiful. Crisp.
Quite beautiful.
Quite beautiful. Blue skies.
Okay.
Pullulating flowers.
Blue skies.
Shining at me. Nothing but
blue
skies.
Skies.
You're keying out.
All right, I didn't do the right key. But
I don't know.
Blue skies.
You know, it's funny. It made me think of once at the museum. I used to be the director of the Warhol Musical, as some of you know, and we did a Valentine's Day concert, and it was to like the old-fashioned, like 50s nightclubs.
Oh, I love that stuff. Yeah.
And we brought in, and I'm blanking on her name. Who Autumn in New York? Who sang that? Oh, it was one of those. I'll think about it. But we did a 50s-style meal. We had baked Alaska. Like you used to have at places like the Pump Room in Chicago. And this woman came up. Oh, I can't even think of her name. She was Margaret Whiting.
Heavens.
Yeah. Well, Margaret Whiting, I knew she was old, but I didn't know she was...
But she just died recently.
I think so. But she came up, and she had, of course, this hair that was starched, and she had a spangly sort of, what do you call those, bell-bottoms with sparkles on them. But she could barely walk. And she got up on stage, and I'm tripping on my pants. So she sang, and she patted.
But she still had a voice.
So she got through the program, and then finally, she said, well, you're all waiting for so I'm going to end with my, Autumn in New York, da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, she got through one chorus, and then she couldn't remember the words. And I go,
And that's her, that was her signature song. Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, because just before the show started, you talked about Glen Campbell.
Well, that's what made me think about
okay. Because Glen Campbell's going to be at the Biome this weekend?
I think so. Benedum, I think.
I'll take your Benedum and raise you another B.
I would think he's big enough.
No,
really?
I think he's Biome.
Oh, okay, maybe.
She's finding out. Okay. And he's doing this sort of farewell to everybody tour because he's got Alzheimer's.
And we were talking about the fact, that's what made me think of this, it's bad enough for people, and we've all known people who've had dementia to one degree or another, but when you're a public person, and, that's what made me think of Margaret Whiting, to stand up, your signature, and you don't remember the lyrics.
The Biome.
Ha! It's one for me. Biome.
Well, that's interesting. The reason I don't mind being wrong, but, a few years ago, or 10 years ago, he probably could have sold out the Benedum.
The Benedum.
Because we used to, again, at the museum, used to do some performance and music things, and so I got to talk to these various people, and it'd be interesting because they were at that point just building that stage AE.
Yes.
Yeah. And this guy was saying, well, that place, I'd say, oh, what about the Rolling Stones or something? Well, maybe 20 years ago they could have sold out, the stadium. But now they could only be so-and-so. I mean, that was Rolling Stones.
Not the Rolling Stones.
No, but I can remember some of these acts,
Oh, right.
I said, I
that's
thought
true.
she was really top. Well, no, not really. She's a 3,000-seat auditorium girl. He's a 500-seat. That was interesting.
No, it is. I wonder what it feels like, though, if you started out as a Benedum performer, and then, you end up...
As the Romans said, sic transit gloria mundi.
Translation for those of us.
Well, thus go the ways of the world. I mean,
all down.
Well, no. But like one day you're up on top,
and
one day you're down, or it's a very sort of equivalent of Warhol's. In the future, everyone will be world famous for 15 minutes, and then, what was her name again?
Exactly right, and that's really, really.
Well, it was funny. They had on TV one of the other days. What was this guy's name? Jess would know.
See, here, he's just making fun of Whiting for not remembering.
No, Dawson's Creek.
Oh,
James Van Der Beek. Blonde guy.
Don't trust the bee in apartment 23.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I don't even know. I never saw Dawson's Creek.
But anyway, it was this mawkish thing about teenagers coming of age in Maine, but it was made in North Carolina. Anyway, blonde, cute boy. Anyway, now he's 35 or something. He was
still cute,
he's an attractive kid. But anyway, he was on one of those Jimmy Fallon shows or something, and they were talking about fame. And he said, oh, well, sometimes people will see me and they'll say, oh, you were, you're that actor. Or then they'll say after that, oh, Dawson, the character's name.
But they can't, yeah.
Wait. And then they'll say, if they really, oh, James Van Der Beek. And then he said, and then they say, you were Dawson. Like sort of derogatory. Then the final was, weren't you on Three's Company? To get the wrong show. And it's so cute because, he's a young guy, but that trajectory from nobody to has been,
I once, my funny, one should never say funny, let people decide that for themselves. My story about someone
Fame.
recognizing me, I'm in the checkout line at a Giant Eagle, and standing there, minding my own business, and the woman in front of me sort of turns, and she sees me. I see that look of recognition, and she goes, "Oh, I know you." And I said, I smile. Hi, hi, how are you? And she said, "I know you." Now I got it. Let me see. I can't think. And I started to say, no, I got it. I'm getting it. She went.
Ida LaFino.
Right. On and on. I got it. No, you're. Oh, I know it. Don't tell. So fine. I couldn't take it anymore. I finally said, I just blurted. I said, let me play. I'm Lynn Cullen. And her response, no. That's not right.
Try Jackie Kennedy. Try Esther Williams.
Jesus. No.
That's so funny. Yeah. I know you. Who are you? You're that girl on the TV.
Yeah, right. You're the girl on the TV. I still get... Oh, look, it's the lady on the news. I haven't been on the news for 25 years.
Oh, really? Is it that long? Oh, okay.
Where I was a reporter? Yeah, I haven't been there for 23.
Okay. Oh, but Green Bay was when you were the girl, wasn't it?
Excuse me? Green Bay.
Well, no, when you told that story about the guy writing the text saying the girl will never read the lead story. Or...
Oh, yeah. No, I was the girl. Yeah, that was the general manager.
Yeah, right.
The girl will never...
It's so funny.
Oh.
The silliness of
what lives we lead.
I know.
Well, see, you got stories. And I got stories. What can we do with...
Raconteur and raconteurs.
Sexist.
Rock on with us.
Rock on with
the French always are gender specific, too. We may not be, but they are.
Hey, did you see that the new president of France... Do you know the new president's name of France?
Oh, wait.
Because Sarkozy and Bruni are gone.
Yeah. Jubilar or something.
No. You mean it. Starts with an H, unpronounced. And it's the same name as same name as a country.
Hollande?
Hollande.
No, are you sure? But
I right about the...
Yeah, right.
Hollande. So Hollande...
But who also is living in sin.
That's what I was going to say. So they have this for his non-wife, but... Yeah, so their first lady of France is not married to the...
There's no lady.
Isn't that wonderful?
But I suppose neither was Carla Bruni when you come down to it.
Carla, geez.
But I love the fact that, since Carla Bruni was known, being a very beautiful woman and very fashionable and fashionable.
Hollande's wife's a babe, too.
Well, a little older, not quite as nice as Carla Bruni.
I disagree. She's got a smarter, handsomer look.
I talked to Carla Bruni, went for the G20, and she was dazzling, I must say, and charming.
Why is it so often that these beautiful people are even more gorgeous in person? Do you find that true?
Oh,
I bumped into, I was at an event where David Conrad, the actor.
Oh, yeah, David's a friend, yeah.
Yeah, well... I've seen him in pictures and stuff all over the place, and there he was, right in my face, and I thought, Jesus, he's handsomer in person.
Well, he's handsome, and also he has, in a good way, he's able to work his charisma. And you could see one time I remember we were having lunch.
Well, he's very low-key for work.
Oh, he's very low-key, but it was very funny. I remember, and I said this to him afterwards, we were having lunch someplace. And at one point, we were being waited on, and then a younger waitress came in, and she recognized him, but the older waitress hadn't. So she came up and like, oh, it was one of those, I know you.
Yeah.
And then he sort of smiled and took on this sort of, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I said, oh, you can really work it, can't you?
Well, yeah, you have to.
Well,
you know what?
it's funny because I remember on one of these Jack Paar shows or something once, it was someone like Sophia Loren or something was talking about this, and she said, I am recognizable, etc. But if I have my glasses on or something, and I'm just sort of walking, and it's bring my coat, but not trying to really disguise, not that many people will notice me.
Sophia Loren, I would pick her out with a paper bag.
Well, maybe, but it was
her.
someone that famous. I don't remember who it was. But then she said, but if I want, I sort of. Walk and I strut like that, and everyone notices because here's the person who wants to be noticed, and then they have these recognizable features. But it was funny also, Miss. Well, no, it's not Mrs. Hollande, whatever her name is. She said, "I never wear designer clothes," which I think was sort of like a slap at Carla Bruni.
Well, because she's a socialist, she can't.
Right.
Oh my God!
But I love it though. These presidents
hey,
off their wives.
I just thought of something. My 1 degree of separation from the last socialist president of France. Okay.
Who was that?
Oh.
Well, I know their party. Mitterrand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mitterrand.
Oh, I had one too.
Okay, wait.
Oh, you tell yours, not tell mine.
Okay, so when I was married.
Yes.
I vaguely remember this. When I was married, my husband came with this beat-up, old, gray, rusting Volkswagen Bug. Mm-hmm. That was our car.
Yes.
And because that was our car, I had to learn how to drive the stick. So that car, for me is like sort of I love that nonsensical car. Well, turns out Francois Mitterrand was in that car.
Mais non.
Now, how could that have been?
Well, I can see if you were living
how
in
could that have
France.
been? Not when I was there. No, and it was in the United States. So.
In Green Bay, this rusty car?
No, in Gary, Indiana. No, South Bend.
South Bend, okay.
Okay, so my husband was a student at Notre Dame and was...
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame, and he was head of some kind of an event. Uh-huh. And the event had brought in this socialist who was not yet the president.
Okay.
He was like the head of the Socialist Party in France. He had come in to give a speech. And my ex picked him up in that little Bug and drove him around.
Oh, neat.
So that's sort of neat.
Neat. Well, but what does that have to do with Mitterrand?
What?
You said it was it wasn't Mitterrand. You said it was someone else.
No, it was Mitterrand.
Oh, it was Mitterrand. Oh, okay, all right. But you said,
well, we have here as a failure to communicate. Yeah, so what was your Mitterrand story?
I actually held his arm.
Oh, God, that's so much better.
No, because when I was at NYU, the museum there, NYU celebrated. It was the largest celebration of the French Revolution.
Yes.
And we escorted the various dignitaries. And at that point, he looked like he was going to die any second.
So this was after he was president?
Oh, yes.
Yes, it was.
Because I remember we invited him 4 years before, because I guess you have to clean his book for... He said, Madame et Monsieur, if I am still president, I would very much like to come. And so it was neat. But he was just I was going to say, he's also, yeah. And he was very old at that point. I mean, he might have to be
He was
70s.
not
and he was not a handsome person.
Not a handsome person, but also not a lot of personality.
No, yeah, he was very, and my French is dreadful, spoken French particularly. And I've tried to mutter to him a little bit,
Allison wants to ask, have you seen the musical at City Theater, the Andy Warhol musical? I thought the character Candy was exceptional. Also, did Tom have much interaction with Andy Warhol?
Oh, hold on to your hats. I went to the first preview.
What's the name of it? I forget. Pop. That's right. And
which plays about the fact of pop art. And when the play opens, you have a dark stage and you hear like a gunshot.
Oh, because he got shot.
Although the first thing I thought of, and I know it's drama, it's not supposed to be accurate, but there were 2 shots when Warhol was shot in 1968. But
was he hit twice or did one miss?
No, both. He was hit twice, and a friend of his who was there at the same time got shot in the ass. And I can't remember his name. But the 2 bullets went into him.
Whatever. How much time did she do? What was her name?
Valerie Solanas.
Yeah.
And she was the person, and you can still buy it, who authored this book called The Scum Manifesto. And SCUM was an acronym, SCUM, Society for Cutting Up Men. It was the first feminist.
Oh, how awful.
She was really a nasty,
Awful.
greasy, horrible person. No, she stayed in jail, and I'm not sure if she just did her whole term there, but she got cancer, and I think she may have been let out early. I can't remember exactly.
Let out to die.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we digress.
Okay.
So it starts with pop.
Pop. 1 pop. Anyway,
right.
it was execrable. Horrible beyond belief. Sorry, City Theater. I don't want to keep tickets away from you.
How's Anthony Rapp? He's a good actor. Not.
Well, he wasn't so bad. I mean, he's walked around sort of in a stupor, as Warhol did. He gets to sing 2 songs, and he sounds the whole time like Mark, the character in Rent that he played for a million years. But it was just badly done, and there was a stupid play. And
You really thought so? But
it was
so when you
horrendous.
went, did the audience like it?
Well, it's like we've talked about this.
You're
before.
saying in Pittsburgh they like it?
No. Well, no. I think everywhere in the world today, New York included, because tickets, etc. Like you go over tickets
That's
in New
true.
York, $300 for 2 people, another $150 for dinner.
To admit it that you misspent your money.
Yes,
is
you
too
have to
painful.
have a
So it was a wonderful
celebration.
play.
But Candy was great. The guy who plays Candy Darling. In fact, I met him the other night at the Art for AIDS annual benefit. And so I was introduced to him by someone, and they said, "Oh, this is Brian something or other. Mark something, whatever his name was." And I said, "Oh, you were really fabulous, but the play sucks." And so we were talking about it.
Well,
It's
I'm sure
interesting. No, he was very, straightforward about it. I mean, he said, "Oh," but he said, "Well, it's evolving." But he was there from the very beginning when they
Is this
did
the premiere? So this is
No.
It is not?
No. They did a staged reading or whatever you call it, and then actually a run through at the Yale Repertory.
Oh,
Theater.
okay. All
And
right.
actually, for those of your listeners who watch that show, Queer as Folk, about the gay community that was supposed to be set here in Pittsburgh, the young guy, Randy Harrison, who played Justin on the show, was the Andy part.
Okay.
And he
Now-
looked really good, better than, because I saw a little clip of it.
Okay. Rapp is a larger man than Warhol,
No,
right?
he's short.
Rapp?
Oh, yeah. I never would have thought that, because
Huh.
I've seen him on stage.
And he looks
But
big.
we were standing there, because he was there, then he walked away, because I was going to say the same thing to him.
You
But-
weren't really
Of
going to
course
tell
I
him his
would've.
play sucked.
Well, he's only an actor in it.
I know, but you didn't think. You weren't going to be able to say that what you said to the other guy.
No, it wouldn't have been. I would have said something nice, I suppose. But I mean, no, but he's shorter than I am, I think. And I'm not tall. I'm only 5'9.5". So.
My mother says they're all short.
But
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So wait, we didn't get to the other.
But what's
question.
interesting you say about that, it goes back to my little anecdote about Sophia Loren. When he's on stage, he's a very dynamic
larger than
performer,
life,
and
right.
he's above you.
Yeah.
But no, and his
on
demeanor
screen.
was really sort of.
Did you have much interaction with Andy Warhol?
Yeah, I
Was
knew
Alice's final question.
him. I mean, as many people that I was no friend or anything like that, but from the art world. And I'll tell you the story of how I met him.
Did you like him?
Well,
He didn't
yeah.
seem- really?
Well, he was always sort of interesting. He was a gossip, and he loved to sort of chat. That's what was always gossip. Let me tell you a story. I met him. I met him at a very famous party. Remember the guys that who got shot in the ass with Andy? This fellow, whose name I'll think of, was the last director of a museum that was called the Huntington Hartford Museum, which was, the money came from the insurance company. And it was at the top of the building that is at what's it called? In New York City, the corner of Ooh, I can't even its name.
Is this important?
Yes. Well, where it is, right at the Washington Square, Central Park West, at Columbus Circle.
Jeez.
And it's this building that had like lots of circles on it. You may remember it almost had a pedimented top.
I'm not seeing it,
Well,
but
anyway.
it doesn't matter. Okay.
And it was this weird building, iconic. Now it's been changed because architects redid it. Now it's the Museum of Design and Craft. Anyway, but it was the end of this museum at the top, and it was called a museum cooling as opposed to a housewarming. So all these grand people came, and one of my professors, when I was at NYU, was a student in the 70s, was invited. He said, "Oh, you go. You should go to these parties. It's interesting." So I went, and I was just 21, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it was New York, and I thought I was, the top of the world, and having my glass of wine with all these famous people that I could recognize.
Trying not to look a guy.
Like I was from Green Bay.
Yeah,
or
right,
Chicago,
exactly. Trying
whatever.
to sort of look, but look like you're not looking.
Right.
Feigned
yes.
casualness.
Yes.
Right.
So anyway, I was standing with my glass of wine, observing, and all of a sudden I see someone looking at me, sort of, 50 feet away. And it was dark, whatever, and flashing lights. And the next person comes closer to me. It's Andy Warhol. Now, at that point, I was studying Renaissance
And he was looking at you?
Yes.
Across a crowded room, and somehow Okay.
Anyway, so he comes up to me and says, "Hi, how are you? I'm Andy." And I said, "Oh, I'm Tom." So we were chatting, like, "Well, how are you here? And what are you doing in New York?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to graduate school." "In what?" And I said, "Well, in history of art." And he said, "Oh, I'm an artist." I said, "Mr. Warhol, I know." He didn't say why, and I know you are. So anyway, where are you going to art history? And I said, the Institute of Fine Arts. And at that point, it was the best art history school in the world. And he said, "Oh, a bunch of friends of mine teach there, and they're really good, and blah, blah, blah." And then he said to me, "Gee, Tom, you must be real smart." And the reason, and I tell this story a lot, because not that I was, am, or will be, but what he was saying was, here's this world famous guy at that point.
But if you got into this.
Right. But again, he knew he could never learn to read German, French, and Italian as you had to, write papers as one does in graduate school. He was, he was dyslexic, among other things. And also, a number of people would say, I never heard him say this, but close friends of his, if he took a ride in a cab and said, "Oh, I'm really late, could you get me there quickly?" And if the cab knew, turn here, turn left, go through this alley, whatever, you could circumvent traffic, Andy would say, "You're really a good cab driver. You knew how to get me there." And he'd say it to plumbers or whatever.
And he meant
He respected
accomplishment
and professionalism. And for all the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I always tell people, this is what you should know about Warhol. Hard work, knowing what it takes to be a professional.
And an appreciation.
I remember we once did a project with Lou Reed, the singer.
Sure.
Awful, horrible man. But, he really was one of the most horrible people I've ever met. Anyway, but this came up, we were talking, because he was in Warhol's circle for a couple of years.
I'll take your Lou Reed and give you Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, he was pretty horrible? Oh, okay. Let me just finish.
All right, okay, go ahead.
We were talking, and this somehow came up, and he said, "Oh yeah, when I was first in Andy's circle, I was seeing a lot of babes, and there'd be parties and drugs, and so I'd come into the factory, at noon, and Andy would already be there working and doing whatever, and Lou would come in and he'd say, 'How many songs did you write last night, Lou?' 'Well, I went to a party and had a few drinks, and I went home with someone.' 'No, you're a songwriter. How many songs did you write?'
That's what Warhol would say.
So he said after this happened once or twice, he'd come in, and whether it was true or not, he'd say, 'Oh, I wrote a song.' 'You only wrote one song?' And it was that notion of, and that's the other thing I always tell people about Warhol was, you would always see him working.
That's true.
Whether it was on the street, schluffing around with his copies of Interview to get people to buy subscriptions, or
but he was always plying his trade.
Recording you with his tape recorder, taking Polaroids. An artist works. And this was a kid who grew up during the Depression in Pittsburgh. If you didn't work, you didn't eat. And that really branded him his whole life.
So this voice of his, this sort of as you
Very Pittsburgh.
Do you think that's Pittsburgh? There's no rise or
Inflection.
fall. There's no
very
inflection.
funny.
It's
There's
sort
a
of
fellow at the
monochromatic.
museum who worked with me, who's still there, Matt Wirbkin, who is the archivist at the museum, and I think he probably knows more about the minutiae of Warhol than anyone in the world because he's gone through all of the archival stuff. And I always say to him, Matt, you really could stand in as Warhol. And a few times we did tape recordings for the museum for publicity or something, and I'd get Matt to come in and read something from the diaries. Oh, it just reminded me of Andy's voice. Oh, yeah, gee, all right, yeah.
And you thought it was Pittsburgh. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting because
He had no New York twang. Or anything. Well, he lived here until he was 21. So, your accent doesn't change that much unless you want to have a French accent or whatever. Yeah, very Pittsburgh. Not like Yunzer, but that kind of, he didn't say downtown, but...
But you're saying that...
Yeah, very, very
Pittsburgh.
uninflective.
Yeah. I think that's why my voice stands out around here.
Well, you do. Well, I think as a
'Cause I'm
professional voice...
Well, but I'm overly, and I play my voice.
Right, but you were an actress, and didn't you take acting classes?
I took acting classes.
Well,
I would never call myself an actress.
You were a ingenue.
I was never even an ingenue.
You were a parvenu.
No, yeah, parvenu. What is a parvenu?
Oh, no,
we don't know. Okay.
Well, it's someone who's attempts to be. Isn't a parvenu someone who attempts to be something?
Parvenu.
Yeah. I think it's someone who attempts to be like a...
isn't that funny? Because that's like one of those words you're reading and you see parvenu and you just have a sense of what it is.
I think it's like an amateur, but with negative connotations.
A person who is a relative newcomer to a socioeconomic class.
A relative newcomer to a socioeconomic class. So it's like... It's
new money.
It's a arriviste.
Yeah, right.
It's somebody who's just come in, and generally, I would imagine, then scorned or looked down upon by those who had come before.
So parvenu, so came.
Parvenu, came
for the French.
Late comer.
Yeah, I guess.
No, recent comer.
Recent comer.
What does par mean?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a typical 27 minutes with Sokolowski.
Bubbling on about...
Well, about this and that, because the news is just blah.
Yeah, the news is blah.
I don't want to talk about the DA not bringing charges, because that's not a surprise.
Right.
I don't want to talk about any...
Healthy food?
No, about this god-awful super PAC, this guy who owns the Cubs, intending to go after Obama. He's going to resurrect Jeremiah Wright, the Reverend.
Oh, God.
And they're building a whole campaign bringing that in. God damn America, that this is the man that formed Barack Obama. This is the man. No, seriously, they're going to do it. McCain refused to use Wright in his campaign. He said, I will not do it. And some of the guys that have resurrected what they had wanted to do, but McCain wouldn't let them, no one's telling them not to now, and they're a super PAC, so they can do whatever they damn well please, even if the Romney campaign
wasn't
were to
when
say
the thing was going on, I remember, and Wright was very antagonistic.
Oh, I mean, he's not
not a nice person.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he is what... You can boil him down into this awful presence, when in fact I'm sure he was inspiring.
Well, I think you read it when you read everything, but he espoused, and one can understand it to a certain degree, anger at how the African American population has been treated, but
it doesn't play well in a mixed crowd.
No, it doesn't play well in a mixed crowd.
Okay, we got to take a break here. Feel free to interact with the two of us. You can email us at lynn@pghcitypaper.com, and you can call at 412-316, just duck your head a little bit, 3381. Thank you. We shall return.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Opera, City Theater, Symphony, History Museum, and Carnegie Museums. Bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. Check out this week's big deal. Over 40% off authentic laser lipo treatments from FDA-approved Zerona. Bergbargains.com.
Bravo and Vela wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vela usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvela@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Get Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okay, and Tom Sokolowski in the house. Okay, so the big news today, and I guess we could talk about it a little bit, is that white people, because we were sort of skirting on racial issues just before the break.
That's right.
That white people we're closing in on that becoming a minority in the U.S. The fact
really?
is,
I thought they were saying
no. If you look
2040 or something.
Yeah, but if you look at, let's just look at Americans born last year. So we're looking at 1-year-olds.
Yeah, okay.
Whites are a minority. So, and it will continue like that. So that's the first year that happened. White births are now a minority. And so that will continue and grow. So when those kids in 20 years
Of their children and their children.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, what that portends is really, it's unknowable in many ways. But America, as a lot of what Americans used to think of Americans as, it will cease to be.
Sure,
it's not the same. White Europeans will not be the major
right. Well, and think of it.
Group.
All of our actuality, but also myth-making, which is maybe even more important, is all white.
Is all white and European.
Right.
So...
I think the interesting thing about that is, you say, oh, what does that mean, blah, blah, blah. It will be interesting to see, and we'll be dead many years for this to see what will happen. But when those groups, non-white groups, particularly the Hispanic community, which is going to
is the fastest growing.
When they... in those 100
you can build walls, by the way. It ain't going to change a thing. In terms.
But the point I was going to make is when they go up the when they're parvenus and more than that, may it turn around, because often poor people, which many people of color are, just because given the history of our country, they tend to have more children. But if you all of a sudden have the Black and Hispanic community raising up to the middle class and more, one of the reasons for this isn't that the people of color are so fecund, but that it's cultural.
It's cultural. It's also,
people, Caucasians, feel that they don't want to have that many children for economic reasons. Well, economic reasons are the wife's working and not wanting to give up their careers and not wanting to put a lot of money into baby care or nanny care or whatever. And so it's, for a short time, we will have the preponderance of people being underclass. And that will be very interesting for the country. Not so much even race, but
it's just a game changer.
Yeah, it is, very much
and
so.
if you look at the oldest demographic by race or ethnicity, you look at the oldest demo, it's whites.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So whites are old. Whites
Right.
are not procreating. The young people of this country are brown, black, white,
And I suppose-
yellow.
yeah, right.
And, I mean, using these absurd colors.
But
And okay, there were other interesting. Darn it! There was a ranking of the states. Oh, here it is.
I'm thinking, I guess, as an educator, whatever, I thought it was interesting, in the future, we know about all these people who want to change, conservatives who want to change textbooks, and because, I remember reading this years ago, that they only produce like one geography textbook for sophomores for the whole country because it's too expensive.
Right.
And the biggest state that buys textbooks is Texas. So they have these horrible conservatives who force people, like in Pennsylvania and Ohio, to have these horrible books. But I was thinking maybe no one's going to read Wuthering Heights now anymore in 50 years, but they'll read Carlos Fuentes.
Yes,
or
exactly.
and good. I mean, it's
fine,
a great writer.
fine.
But it's really the whole myth and cultural.
It's going to upend everything, which is why it scares people.
Yeah. The Statue of Liberty will be replaced by Statue of Carmen Miranda or something, with dancing bananas.
Somebody who was telling me this. There's something about a certain kind of a visa that you can get if you have a lot of money.
Yes.
Right. We let you in immediately, give you a green card. So the rich are always welcome here. Mm-hmm. Always welcome. Mm-hmm. I forget what the number of the visa is. If you got enough, you can buy your way into this country legally with all the things you need. And I was thinking, you mentioned the Statue of Liberty. That's what made me think of it. Because that poem at her base.
Oh, yeah.
Give me your tired, your poor.
You're yearning to be
your
free.
Huddled masses yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Yes.
They got to take that down.
Well,
it has not been true for so long.
I have a perfect anecdote for this. Do you know the plays of Neil Simon?
Well, sure.
Yeah. Well, he does 3 that are the trilogy of his life. And the first one, I can't remember the title, but I think the first one's called Broadway Bound.
Okay.
And in it, Neil Simon, the character, he's a young boy in Brooklyn, like maybe 15. And when I saw it, it was Matthew Broderick, who's now a star in his own right, played the young boy. And his grandmother was Linda Lavin, the comedic actress.
Right.
And at the end of the play, he says to the grandma, after they're talking about something, they're Jewish, and he said, "Oh, Grandma, tell me how I came here." So she goes into this soliloquy, how that we were in Minsk and the times were horrible, and when the boats came, we got on, and it took 10 days to cross the ocean, and people were sick in the hull of the boat, and women gave birth, and some of the babies died, and then it was announced that we were coming into New York Harbor, and everyone ran up on the deck, and the sun was just coming out, and we saw the Statue of Liberty with the lights coming on, the sun coming on it, and but they didn't know the poem that you just so beautifully recited, and people held their babies out and were crying, and I looked at that statue and I thought, that's not a Jewish woman. We're gonna have trouble here too. It's a great, and I always tell that story because that's a great moment. And when I lecture, I'm very schmaltzy about it. But it is that sort of metaphor. She looks at it and she says, "That's not a Jewish woman." And I thought it's perfect.
Frying pan into the fire.
Well, that's it.
But it wasn't, and she was wrong.
No, well, she was wrong. But in the
greatest country, greatest country for Jewish people in the
universe.
Well,
right. Oh, yeah, but I'm talking about right. But that fact of all of our metaphor, and you say, "Hey, that doesn't reflect me."
Right.
I don't have Greco-Roman features and a crown.
Right. And it's why we react to people who don't
look like us. Yeah.
But what we look like now, what the average American, I remember my son, who's a Native American, South American, Native South American. He's Indian, Bolivian. And there was not any child in his grade school who looked like him. Mm-hmm. He was a true minority. And yet, it was fun. This is not what I was gonna tell you something he asked me. But because of the Pittsburgh Public Schools' efforts to integrate their schools, this was a magnet school, and it had to be 50% black, 50% white. Mm-hmm. But so my question was to them, well, where does my kid fit? He's white, they said. I said, but he isn't. But he isn't. He, in fact, is more of a minority than the black kids in this in this city, in this school.
Right,
I mean, he should be counted as one of the minority, not one of the majority. And absolutely refused, because the way it works is black and everybody else. And
because we have such a small Hispanic population.
I guess that would be it.
Yeah.
So that was odd to me. But then he said to me, maybe he was in first grade, Mom, I'm not black and I'm not white. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, you're not. You are wondrously brown, and you are the color of the future of America.
Yeah, well,
and it's true.
Saying.
But it's true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Brown.
There's a woman, I can't remember her name, but she was the one who, she and her husband developed this software. Now it's ubiquitous, but where you could take a picture of someone and then age it.
Yeah.
And she did this. It was like, do you remember the case? It just was up in the news recently of Eitan Pates, the kid who was abducted in New York in the 70s.
Yes.
And so when that happened, it was just in the news because they thought
a cadaver dog thought he smelled something.
But anyway, they developed this, and that's what they, for years, thought what Eitan Pates would look like today. Anyway, so they used this, and she, in her art, did aging of people, but then she did one where she would show the quintessential homogenous American today, and then like 2020, 2050, and the images got more and more Hispanic.
More and more Hispanic.
It was so interesting.
Darker.
And it was based just on demographic evidence.
And, for some people, that is like a tragedy. If you're thinking of like Pat Buchanan, this guy, right? To him, this is the end of Western civilization. No, it's just evolution. It's what happened. This is America's story, and this is the next chapter. This is what happens when you pat yourself on the back for being an ingatherer of the wretched and the poor. You end up with this stew of humanity. Right. And you don't keep your white European.
If you go to France, you see huge influx of Africans.
The Europeans are not handling it well either.
No,
though.
But there too, because for them, it was pretty much the colonials. There was all these French.
These are people from countries that the French raped.
Yeah, right.
And now their people are coming into France,
Oh yeah, what's the guy named Le Pen? Who's from Lyon, I think.
Yeah, the right-winger. Well, his daughter now is
That's right, the daughter. That's right.
The daughter is, and all over Europe in these elections, the right wing, the neo-Nazis too, are coming. You see, anytime Europeans get freaked out, right? They immediately blame dark-skinned people, Jews.
Well, and what's interesting,
Muslims, whatever the other.
Well, because what's very interesting is the fact of, because we're a nation of migrations, we have always been heterogeneous.
Yes.
Whereas, for a long time, France
that's right. That's our MO. I mean, that's what we are.
So therefore, it is much easier there to talk about the other. I mean, all of us are other here.
That's right. But I've always maintained that it's exactly that, this ingathering of the strongest, the most gutsy people. Who leaves their country?
Right, exactly.
Strong, gutsy dreamers.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's who made up America. Well,
Yeah.
excuse me, that's the best of the best. That's the creme de la creme. That's and
alpha dogs.
The alpha dogs. And what people don't realize is these brown skin hordes who are risking their lives to come to this country to work their tails off for pennies doing jobs that you won't do. That's right. That's right. They are part and parcel of exactly what's made this country
great. Now, what
great.
would Emma Lazarus have written about that?
I don't know, but she that we
That's
should
a
not.
beautiful
It is,
poem.
and
It really
we
is.
should not be allowed to continue to advertise ourselves in that way.
Yeah, right. Oh, she's the one, if some of you didn't catch, Emma Lazarus is the one who wrote the poem that's on the base of the Statue of Liberty that Lynn recited earlier.
I always thought she was a Jewish immigrant. She was not an immigrant herself. Oh. She came from a very wealthy German Jewish family who had been in this country for a while.
No, but she had to be an immigrant. I mean, she wasn't originally Iroquois.
No, she was an immigrant family.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had made it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
They had made it. Okay. They were not, And I think she also, she was very active so the German Jews came here first. They were the earliest, the German and the Spanish Jews. And when the hordes from Eastern Europe, running from the czars, running from Hitler, when they came in the early 20th century, right? They're especially the Eastern Europeans.
Now, what would you call
his name? Like the Minsk, the woman from Minsk, and my relatives, my grandparents.
What would you call them? Because there's you talk about Sephardim.
That's Ashkenazi.
But the Ashkenazi are both the Germans and Eastern Europeans.
It's European shtetl Jews.
Yeah. I didn't realize
this. That's my folks, and when they came, they didn't look like these German Jews. The German Jews were high-toned, and the German Jews reacted to these hordes of raggedy Jews from the ghettos of Eastern Europe with horror.
Yeah.
Horror. And while some turned their backs on him, others, like Lazarus and a lot of others, started, the settlement houses and all this kind of stuff to help them acclimate, to bring them in, to teach them English, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's very funny. Some of the best movies about the Holocaust, like The Garden of the Finzi Continis, and others, are those that talk about not the shtetl people, because they were down.
The rich people.
But these rich
Jews.
They sat in the boxes at the opera, and they were bankers, and then all of a sudden, they were considered as no better than...
Ftui. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. That was a great movie.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Garden of the Finzi Contini, for those of you who never saw it, it's an Italian movie, probably came out in the 70s.
Yeah. Beautiful movie.
Just excellent movie. 3 more metropolitan areas in the country have tipped over where whites, and this is the whole population, where whites are a minority, and one of them is Dallas-Fort Worth. Whites are a minority in Dallas-Fort Worth, in tons of California county.
Yeah, California, I would think.
The whitest places in America are also demographically the oldest places, because whites, we're old. We're the old
Boston
people. The 3 states are Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire.
Sure. Places where there was not either in an agricultural way or mass manufacturing, places for people to come and where they wanted cheap laborers. But that thing about California, Florida for citrus growing.
Yeah.
Other places maybe in the West, or places like Chicago or Cleveland, the steel mills, things like that, where you had lots of poor workers. But these places, no.
Because they were farmers.
Yeah, but small farmers.
Yeah, small farmers.
Tobacco or cotton or lemons or whatever.
All this demographic stuff does tell us that Pennsylvania, by the way, is the number 6 in terms of
whiteness,
age. Well, they go together.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and they go together, as I said. At least we're not number 1.
Yeah.
We're number 6.
Folks. Yeah.
So Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire are ahead of us, and West Virginia's ahead of us. And I got to come up with one more, but I don't know which one it is. I can't see it on this map. But yeah, we're old. Damn.
Except someone showed me something yesterday or the day before that this is the first year where the population has increased in Pennsylvania.
No, in Allegheny County, we're actually not losing. We're gaining. We're gaining population.
And I think it was someone said 1,000, but I would find that hard to believe.
No, it is.
Really?
Why, you think that's too much?
Yeah.
No, it's about. I think it is something like that. It's a little over, I thought.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was newcomers.
No, it's not just people. It's people who've chosen to move in. Okay, I think we do have to take a break again. We shall be back. Us old white people.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for Rob Zombie, Brian Regan, the Abbott Brothers, and Will Eisner. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Hey, Billy, want to go to the state fair?
Yeah!
Well, you can't.
Huh?
Well, you see, Billy, when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have done with it. But now your parents are becoming energy efficient. They could save hundreds of dollars a year and take you to the fair next year.
I want to go now.
I know you do. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
They come up on it. You have this little child.
We are on. People heard that. People heard that.
Yes, it was like Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever.
We're talking about clown phobias.
But I'm saying Anderson Cooper's show yesterday, there was a woman who was, this is my favorite one, there was a snake person who was frightened of snakes, and they brought a snake out, and the psychiatrist...
I'm not frightened of snakes. I think spiders are more.
Yeah, well, and these things you could say, there's a reason to. They can sting you, they can bite you, they can kill you. But there was a woman on, not to mock people's phobias, but who was frightened of mannequins. And
wow, what a weird...
And she a mannequin, and even if it was a mannequin like without a head, sometimes they have those, and she was... Can you imagine?
Some of these phobias make life very hard. What about a pretty common phobia is phobia of tunnels. What is somebody who lives in Pittsburgh supposed to do?
Right.
Or bridges.
Or people with not
or elevators.
Or some people who don't leave their house.
I know. That's agoraphobia.
Right. But it's interesting.
Okay, so here in the New York Times piece about these whites now birth being
this
a minority.
This white chick sitting next to me, she's hot on this one.
I am. It's fascinating.
No, it is. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so here's what they say. A more diverse young population forms the basis of a generational divide with the country's elderly, a group that is largely white and grew up in a world that was white, too. Okay, so we got these old white people at the top who, by the way, vote.
Yes, right.
Vote.
Right.
And then you've got at the bottom all of these darker young people who have a totally different cultural view. And
generational, too.
Yeah, it's generational, but ratcheted up hugely.
Oh, yeah. No, of course.
So the contrast raises important policy questions, the Times article says. The United States has a spotty record educating minority youth. That's for sure. Okay?
Yes, definitely.
Will older Americans balk at paying to educate a younger generation that doesn't look like them? And while the increasingly diverse young population is a potential engine of growth, will it become rather a burden if it is not properly educated? So this is, unless we deal with this quickly, immediately, see that we can't keep shuttling away these poor people because they're inheriting this country.
Well, it's like the French Revolution.
It is like the French Revolution.
Cake.
Yeah. And so here's some guy immigration studies at NYU. He says the question is, how do we reimagine the social contract when the generations don't look like one another? And it's a total. I mean, tell you, it just throws everything.
No, exactly.
Up in the air.
We're seeing that now.
Ozzy and Harriet are no longer a representative American archetype.
Oh, did you see that? Was that in the Times? Or was it? Yeah, I think so. On Monday, the story about the representation of mothers in TV and how the mothers were shown from the first, what was her name? Jane Wyatt on Father Knows Best.
Right.
And they talked about the fact how the mothers were always represented sort of as negatives. Like at one point they said, how can you say something about Father Knows Best? But at one point on the show,
changed.
Well, no, and something is on, but something the father said to the boy, and the mother, Jane Wyatt, was talking to Betty, I think was the girl's name, and something about your father told Billy such and such, but dads aren't always right. And so this article goes on. Can you imagine in 1959,
they actually
Father Knows Best is being undercut by the mother?
Well, I remember, and I came from a pretty much Ozzy and Harriet looking family. Mom, dad, 3, washed and fed kids, all relatively okay. And yet I would watch Father Knows. That's what we watch, Father Knows Best.
Ditto.
And I would worry. I would think, my family's not like that. And actually, we were. I'm thinking of families that really weren't like that. I mean, but my parents didn't interact like these parents did. Although we had a very traditional family. My father went to work. He came home.
And you weren't like, even though you were Jewish, you weren't like Gertrude Berg.
Oh, not at all. No, very
sitting on the in Brooklyn on the windowsill.
No, we were very classic middle America.
Yeah,
middle class,
that's the thing.
Values family.
Well, that's the thing. What's interesting is the fact that although it was TV and TV was news, so that made it all the more powerful, but it was pretty representative. I mean, here you were a Jewish family, but you looked just as
absolutely. And the thing is, we strove to. My father's father was an immigrant who never quite learned how to write our language, but he was successful. He did. It was classic American dream stuff. Wanted his children to, and so my father was exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just classic stuff. Ray says, "I feel we romanticize the qualities of our ancestors who traveled to a new country." I think he's talking to me because I was talking about the best and the brightest. We like to see them as the gutsy, bold, brave adventurers that make us proud to be born of this lineage. But part of me agrees with a sentiment I experienced with some Irish thinking on the island. Namely, the brave, courageous, defiant ones stayed and fought and died and prevailed. It was the weak and fearful who fled or were sent packing. It's sort of that claim that being a survivor is a moniker of pride, but who isn't a survivor? Those who aren't around to claim it. Whoa, Ray, very dark, very dark. Okay, let's agree. Let's agree to disagree on this a little bit, but let's agree that maybe we're both right. That some feisty ones stayed to reclaim their land. And some who came here were running. There is no way that somebody who leaves their culture, their language, their family, their country, anything they know, anything that gives them solid ground under their feet, who leaves all that behind to go off into a void, even if the void is said to be, streets are lined with gold, there's no way that person isn't gutsy. Well, I just don't see.
Well,
would you do it?
There was a story in our family, somewhat distant cousins, where this kid was sent from Poland. And at the last minute, I can't remember, or the mother and father couldn't, or travel, or maybe they couldn't afford it. So they sent this kid over, and he had a white shirt on, and he had a black magic marker, whatever they used at the time. They wrote Grand Rapids on his shirt.
Oh, my God.
And this kid, who was 11, made it to Grand Rapids from somewhere in Poland, and then ended up, like your grandfather being a success.
Just beyond belief.
There's something, heroic about that,
beyond
I think.
belief.
I mean, there's a time, Ray, you're right on one level, but there's a time when especially if you were really other, I mean, like the Jews in a place where anti-Semitism was ripe, where, better to get out than to be slaughtered. So,
you had to go.
You had to go, right.
The people who were kidding themselves are the ones who stayed, and they died.
Yeah. No, but one thing I will say with Ray, I do agree with him in the sense that what I find interesting is not so much saying about those people were heroic, and although I think they certainly to a degree were, but the ones, and I find Pittsburgh being particularly bad about this, that some people in this city who are from, formerly immigrants sort of live their lives like their grandparents did. Like, oh, those Polish people or those Italian people. And these are people who've never been to Poland or Germany or Italy or Russia and think that, pierogies and meatballs, we don't get that in Italy or in Poland.
True.
And it's leading this, like, shtetl life in Bloomfield. And that I find very annoying because, I'm very proud of being Polish ancestry. But I don't want to, do the polka all the time and, eat sauerkraut and pierogi. It's 2012. I'm a very well-educated person. I'm proud of my roots, but not to just constantly make it so like,
Those are, I call those people like professional Poles or professional Italians or professional Jews or whatever. I mean, people.
Professional Jews who can't speak Italian. There's this horrible show, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and they're all Italian. They're always going on about being Italian. Almost none of them speak Italian.
Yeah,
and
but they're Italian.
But they're New Jersey Italian, and that's a whole other show.
So what they don't realize is being an Italian American.
Right.
What they are, they've created their own culture. Yeah. It's Italian American, and listen. Always fun to talk to you.
Oh yes, exactly.
Thank you so much.
If you want to immigrate.
Yeah,
but don't always be an immigrant.
Yes, don't be a stranger. Okay, so. You are not going to be here next week. We will miss you. I will not be here tomorrow, guys.
And you will definitely miss her.
Oh yeah, right. I gotta help my mom plant her pots.
Oh, you're planting pots?
I'm planting pot with my mom. I can't wait. We do it every spring.
Oh, can you imagine this old white chick toking it up there in Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, that's actually an idea. Okay. See ya. Talk at you Monday.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.